many of you listening are in a season and you just feel stuck? I mean, kind of like you're just rinsing and repeating your days with no real change, drive, or vision. You just feel like you're existing. Well, chances are good you may be using old solutions for a new season, and that can happen at any stage of a woman's life. It can happen to the new mom who loves her baby deeply but quietly wonders where she went. It can happen to the woman building a business who is trying to lead with confidence but still feels like she has something to prove. It can happen to the woman who has spent years raising children, caring for everyone, building a life, holding a family together, or showing up in all the ways she was needed. And it can happen to the woman whose children are older now, whose home is quieter, whose body has changed, whose priorities have shifted, or whose life looks good from the outside but no longer feels fully aligned on the inside. It can happen in motherhood, in business, in marriage, after loss, after success, and it can happen in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and even beyond. Because this is not just a midlife conversation. This is a womanhood conversation. And at some point, every woman reaches a place where the old way no longer works. The old pace, the old pressure, the old role, the old identity, the old way of dressing, the old way of keeping everyone happy. Maybe you were the strong one that everyone depended on, or the person who would stay quiet so as not to ruffle any feathers. The old way of pushing through, and when that happens, and a new season is on your doorstep knocking, it can feel confusing. Nothing may look terribly wrong with you on the outside, and you're still showing up and doing what needs to be done, taking care of your family, your work, your clients, your responsibilities, your home, your life. But inside, there's still this quiet feeling something is off. Something just doesn't feel like you anymore. And many women I've coached have no idea what to do with that feeling, so they blame themselves. They start thinking, why am I so tired or feeling disconnected? Or why can't I get motivated? Why do I have to keep starting over? Why do I keep buying things and still feel like nothing works? Why do I look in the mirror and not completely dislike what I see, but also not really quite recognizing her? This is about a change in season. You may be trying to live, dress, lead, mother, work, love, or show up from a season that has already passed. And before you can change that, you have to recognize where you actually are. And that is where we begin today. Welcome back to the Raising Her Confidence podcast. I'm Kim Mittelstadt, founder of Power Within Collective and the creator of Radiance Reclaimed. This is where we talk about presence before performance, identity before image, congruence before confidence, and what it really means for a woman to return to herself in a new season of life. In the last episode 38, we talked about what I call the congruence gap. That space between who you are on the inside and how you're showing up on the outside. It's that quiet disconnect, the feeling that something no longer fits, the sense that you have changed, but your outer life has not fully caught up yet. Well, today we're talking about the first step towards closing that gap. And the first step is not to fix everything or perform harder or even try to reinvent yourself overnight. The first step is to recognize the season you're in and recognize what's changed and what no longer fits. This is where you recognize where you may still be living from an old identity, because you can't release what no longer belongs until you are honest about where you are standing. So today I want to talk to the woman who senses that something has shifted. Maybe you're a young mom and your whole world has changed, or maybe you're building something new and trying to become visible in a bigger way. Maybe you're growing a business but still carrying the insecurity of who you used to be. Or maybe you're in midlife and asking questions you did not expect to be asking. Maybe your children are older, your role is changing, and you're wondering who you are now. Or maybe life looks successful from the outside, but inside, you know you're not fully aligned. Wherever you are, this episode is not about age, it's about season, and every woman moves through them. And I want you to know, this isn't about starting over. I want to begin here because I think this is important. When a woman feels disconnected from herself, she often assumes that she has to start over. She thinks she needs to become someone completely different. A new look, a new plan, a new body, a new business, a new routine, a new identity. I don't know, sometimes a new everything. But that's not what this work is about. Radiance Reclaimed is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to the woman you are now. It's not about returning to the woman you were 10 years ago or before motherhood. It's not about returning to the woman who you were before life asked so much of you. And it's not the woman everyone else is most comfortable with. It's the woman you are now. So many women are still trying to be loyal to a season they have already outgrown. They're still dressing for who they used to be or choosing from who they used to be, still silencing themselves the way they used to, or carrying expectations that belong to another chapter. And then they wonder why they feel so heavy. Well, here's the truth. It's because you're carrying a version of yourself that was only meant for a certain season. That version of you may have served you and protected you, and even helped you survive or helped you build an identity in that season. She may have helped you raise children, start over, hold a family together through loss, build a business, keep going, or simply get through a time when there was no other option. So first and foremost, we need to honor her. But we also have to ask, is she still supposed to be leading? Or is there a new season asking for a more honest version of you? So what is a season? When I use that word season, I'm not talking about your age only. This is not you're in your 30s, so you must be here, or you're in your 50s, so you must be there. That's too narrow. A season is not just how many birthdays you've had. A season is defined by what life is asking of you now. What's ending? What's beginning and what's being revealed or released? What's becoming important or no longer feels honest? What part of you is asking to be seen again? You may be building a family, a career, a business. Maybe it's more personal, like building your confidence or stability, building a new life after change, building credibility or something that matters to you. And building seasons can be beautiful, but they can also take a lot from you because building often requires focus, sacrifice, structure, and endurance. And sometimes without realizing it, a woman starts to believe her value is only in what she produces, provides, or holds together. Some seasons ask you to hold. You're holding the children, the family, all the details. Maybe it's you holding everyone's emotions, the family schedule, or holding the invisible things no one else even sees. Us women, we're pretty good at holding. But there's a difference between holding what's yours and holding so much that you disappear underneath it. Some seasons ask us to grow. These are the seasons where you're stepping into something bigger. Maybe you're launching a new business. Maybe you're becoming more visible, or you're just learning how to lead. Maybe you're no longer able to hide behind being new. Maybe you're just being invited to trust your voice, your ideas, your gifts, and your presence in a deeper way. And growth seasons, they can definitely bring up old insecurities. They can make you question yourself or expose where you're still waiting for permission. It's in times of discomfort that we grow. Just maybe it's a sign that the old identity cannot hold the new assignment. Some seasons ask you to release. Release the role that no longer fits. Release the old definition of beauty, the pressure to look like who you used to be. Release the belief that confidence means performing perfectly. Release the agreement to be the easy one or the version of yourself who never asked for much. Release the style, the pace, the identity, or the expectations that were built around someone you no longer are. And some seasons ask you to become visible again. Not loud or performative or trying to prove something, not loud or performative or trying to prove something, but visible in a grounded way. As in, I'm here. I know who I'm becoming. I'm not hiding from myself anymore, and I'm willing to let how I show up reflect the woman I am now. That is personal presence. That is congruence. Where this shows up first for many women is in very ordinary places. It shows up in a closet. You stand there looking at clothes you bought, clothes you used to wear, clothes that technically fit, clothes that are fine, but none of them really feel like you. And you think, I have nothing to wear, but sometimes that's really not the problem. Sometimes the deeper truth is, I don't know how to dress for who I am now. It shows up in the mirror. You look at yourself and you think, I don't hate what I see, but I don't fully recognize her either. Something feels outdated, tired, unfinished. Something just feels disconnected. And it's not shallow thinking, it's just information, because the mirror often tells the truth before we have words for it. Sometimes it can show up in the photos. How many of us avoid being photographed? Or you see a photo of yourself and you're like, I look older or tired. Or why would I ever think that outfit would work? That isn't about chasing youth or trying to look 25 again. It's because the woman in the photo doesn't match how you feel inside. And that gap, it can feel painful. It can show up in your voice. You know what to say, but you soften it. Or you know what you need, but you minimize it. You know what you've outgrown, but you don't want to disappoint anyone, or you stay agreeable, easy, appropriate. You stay in the version of yourself that everyone knows how to relate to. Why? Because it's safe. And there's a difference. A familiar life is not always an aligned life. A familiar style is not always an honest style, and a familiar role is not always a current role. Sometimes it's just what you've practiced the longest. This is why I say image is not just image, and style is not just style. And beauty is not just beauty. The way a woman shows up often reveals the relationship she's having with herself. And when that relationship has changed, the outside has to be invited into the conversation as presence, not performance. Okay, so here's where women often get frustrated. They try to solve the discomfort with the same tools that worked before, and they think, maybe I just need new clothes, or I need to lose a few pounds, or maybe I just need to get more organized, more disciplined. Maybe I just need to get my confidence back by pushing through, or I just need to wait until things calm down. Or maybe I just need to work harder. But if the solution you keep reaching for was designed for a former season, maybe the old solution was pushing harder, but this season is asking you to listen. Maybe the old solution was staying quiet, but this season is asking you to speak. Maybe the old solution was being needed, but this season is asking you to be known. Or maybe the old solution was hiding behind responsibility, but this season is asking you to become visible again. Maybe even the old solution was buying more clothes, but this season is asking you to understand your identity. And this is one of the biggest shifts in the Power Within collective work. Confidence is not the ultimate goal. Congruence is. Because confidence can be performed. A woman can look polished and still feel disconnected. She can be successful and still feel unseen. She can be admired and still feel like she's living from an old version of herself, and have a closet full of clothes and still feel like nothing reflects her. But congruence is different. Congruence is when who you are, what you value, how you live, and how you show up are no longer in conflict. That's what creates real presence, and that's what creates radiance. That's what allows a woman to walk into a room and not feel like she has to become someone else to be seen. And that begins with recognizing the season you're in. So I want to give you 3 ways women often misread the seasons they're in. As I go through these, just notice which one feels familiar. It's not about shaming or judgment, just recognition. And this is the work today. Number 1, you're performing a season you've already left. This is when life has changed, but your identity has not caught up. Maybe you're a new mom and still trying to operate like the woman you were before everything changed. Or maybe your children are older now, but you're still operating from the exhaustion of the baby years. Maybe your business is growing, but you're still proving yourself like you're just beginning. Maybe a crisis has passed, but your body and mind are still bracing. Maybe you have more freedom now, but you don't know how to receive it because your whole identity was built around being needed. And maybe your life's expanded, but your style, your voice, and your choices are still shaped by the woman who did not want to take up too much space. This is so common. A woman enters a new season, but she keeps using the old instructions. Keep going. Don't need too much. Be grateful. Be useful. Stay strong. Don't make things too complicated. Don't disappoint anyone. Don't change too much. And at one time, those instructions may have served her, but now they may be keeping her from herself. So ask yourself, am I performing a season I've already left? Am I still living by instructions that no longer belong to this chapter? Number 2, you're denying the season you're actually in. This one is subtle because denial often looks responsible. It looks like staying busy. It looks like I'm fine. It looks like I'm not making a big deal out of anything. It looks like being strong or grateful. It looks like getting through the day, and sometimes that's exactly what a woman had to do. I have deep respect for that. I understand completely. There are seasons where you don't have the luxury of stopping and asking, how do I feel about this? You just keep going. You take care of the children. You show up for work. You handle the family. You do what has to be done. But there comes a point where ignoring yourself no longer protects you. It disconnects you. And the quiet ache that you've been trying to outrun starts getting louder. It's not there to punish you. It's there to bring you back. Maybe you know there's more in you than what your current life is allowing. But you keep telling yourself, it's fine, it's not a big deal, I should be grateful. Other people have bigger problems, this'll pass. Or maybe it's not a crisis, it's still the truth. And truth ignored doesn't disappear, it just waits. So ask yourself, am I denying the season I'm actually in because I'm afraid of what honesty might ask of me? And number 3, you're rushing into the next season before this one's complete. This happens a lot with women who love growth. Women who are capable or are used to making things happen. The moment you feel discomfort, you want the plan, the next step. You want the new look, the new offer, the new identity, the new routine. You want the answer, and I understand that, because the in-between can feel very uncomfortable. But sometimes we rush because recognition feels too vulnerable. And sometimes we run toward reinvention because we don't want to sit with what this season is trying to show us. And then the change doesn't hold. You buy the clothes, but they still don't feel like you. You make the plan, but you don't follow through. And you say you're ready, but something keeps pulling you back. You try to become the next version of yourself before you've released the old agreements. And then you blame yourself. But the problem may not be your discipline. It may be the order. You can't realign before you recognize, because recognition comes first. This is why I call this phase recognize. Recognize is the honest beginning. It's not flashy or dramatic, and it's definitely not the part most people want to post about, but it's where real transformation begins. Because until a woman can tell the truth about where she is, she's still going to try and fix the wrong thing. She'll keep treating an identity shift like a closet problem, and she keeps treating a season change like a motivation problem, or even a disconnection like a confidence problem. She'll keep trying to make the old version of herself feel better instead of asking who she's becoming now. And that is why this work is different. It's not makeover work. It's not chasing youth or becoming trendy. And it's not performing confidence. This is about becoming personally and visibly aligned with who you are now. It's about allowing your image, your voice, your choices, your beauty, your energy, your boundaries, and your presence to come into the agreement. This is why we begin with recognition, because before we can reclaim your radiance, you have to recognize where it has been dimmed or hidden, edited, or even left behind. We don't lose ourselves all at once. We leave ourselves behind in small little agreements. A yes when we meant no, a silence when we had something to say, a style we kept wearing because it was safe, and a role we kept performing because people expected it. Or maybe it was a dream we kept shrinking because it felt inconvenient, or a version of beauty we kept chasing even though it's no longer feeling kind. A life we kept maintaining even though something inside us was asking for a deeper conversation. Recognition is the moment you stop abandoning what you know. It's the moment you say, I see what's happening. I see what's changed. I see what I have been carrying and what no longer fits. I see the woman I'm becoming, and I'm willing to begin there. I want to give you a simple practice, just 3 honest questions. You can write them down, you can sit with them or walk or think about them in the car. You can bring them into your quiet time, but don't rush them. Just let them breathe. So question 1, what season am I actually in? Not what season do I wish I were in, or what season do other people think I'm in, or not what season did I plan to be in right now, but what season am I actually in? Am I building, holding? Am I growing? Am I releasing? Am I healing? Am I becoming visible again? Am I standing between who I was and who I'm becoming. Am I in a season that is asking me to stop performing and start telling the truth? Question 2, am I serving this season or am I still serving an old one? That question may reveal a lot. You may realize you're still living from an old pace, an old pressure or identity, an old responsibility or an old version of beauty, an old definition of success, an old agreement to be quiet, agreeable, useful, strong, or endlessly available. And again, this isn't about shaming. We're asking whether her instructions still belong here. So ask, am I serving the woman I am now, or am I still serving the woman I had to be? And question 3, what would I need to be honest about in order to move forward? This is the tender one, because most women already know more than they admit. They know what feels heavy or misaligned, and they know what no longer fits and where they're performing. They know where they're hiding and where they're tired of pretending. And in our hearts, this honestly can feel costly. It may ask for a conversation, a boundary, a change, a pause, a new decision, a new way of seeing yourself, and a new way of allowing yourself to be seen. But honestly, it's not betrayal, ingratitude, or selfishness. Honesty is the beginning of coming home to yourself. So what I want you to notice this week is not rushing or fixing something. I want you to just notice. Notice what you reach for when you feel disconnected. Do you immediately try to improve yourself or blame yourself? Do you immediately start shopping? Do you immediately make a plan or dismiss the feeling? Do you immediately tell yourself you should be grateful? Notice your closet. What feels like the woman you are now, and what feels like an older version of you? What feels like armor or like you're hiding, and what feels like performance? Take a pause and look in your mirror and ask yourself, does the way I'm showing up reflect the season I'm in? Does it reflect the woman I'm becoming? Or am I still presenting a version of myself that belonged to another chapter? And notice your language. How often do you say, I'm fine, when you're not really fine? Or how often do you say, it doesn't matter, when it actually does? How often do you say, I don't know, when somewhere inside you do know? Notice your energy. Where do you feel alive? Where do you feel drained? Where do you feel like yourself? And where do you feel like you're performing? Where are you current and where are you staying loyal to an old identity? That's recognition. Noticing without immediately abandoning what you notice. So let me bring you back to the beginning. You may not be stuck. You may just be using old solutions for a new season. And when that's the case, more effort, pressure, or performing isn't the answer. The answer begins with recognition. What season am I in? And what is the season asking of me? What no longer fits and what part of me is ready to be reclaimed? This is the first step in closing the congruence gap. This is where we step into the season by beginning from truth. Because the woman you're becoming doesn't need you to perform harder. She needs you to recognize her. In the next episode, we're going to move into the next part of the journey, release. We will begin looking at what no longer belongs. What old agreements, old identities, old expectations, and old ways of being seen cannot come with you into this season. But for this week, stay with recognition. Don't rush or dismiss what you notice. Just begin telling the truth. Because you can't navigate what you refuse to name, and you can't become fully present in a life you're not willing to see clearly. If this episode spoke to you, share it with a woman who may also be standing in a new season and trying to make sense of why the old ways just don't work for her any longer. And when you're ready to explore what it means to come home to yourself through identity, beauty, style, wellness, and personal presence, come find us at Power Within Collective. It's not just about becoming someone else. This is about returning to the woman you are now and letting the way you show up finally reflect her. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Raising Her Confidence. You're doing meaningful work, and every pause, every boundary, every intentional moment, it matters more than you know. If you're ready to go deeper in your connection with your son or daughter, grab your free download, 100 Conversation Starters, at www.powerwithinmovement.com. Because confidence grows through conversation, and it all starts with you. Keep helping them grow while honoring the woman you are too.